have come a long way since the release of the first iPad. Today, tablets are thinner and more powerful than ever. They're being used for all kinds of different tasks, from watching a YouTube video to drawing a digital art masterpiece. But did the first iPad really change the world? The idea of a computer small enough to fit in a palm, yet powerful enough, dates back to the early 80s. In one of his speeches, Steve Jobs said, "Our company's strategy is really simple. What we want to do at Apple is we want to put an incredibly great computer in a book that you can carry around with you and learn how to use in 20 minutes. And we really want to do it with a radio link in it, so you don't have to hook up to anything and you're in communication with all of these larger databases and other computers." But the idea didn't get realized until 1993 when the Newton MessagePad 100 was introduced. The MessagePad lineup didn't make it too far due to a number of reasons, like the limited desktop connectivity for example, and it was one of the products discontinued by Jobs shortly after his comeback in 1997. However, this gave Apple a valuable experience and better understanding of the tablet conception. The development of a device codenamed K48 began even before the iPhone, but at some point the iPhone became more important and the future iPad was put on hold. Until, on January 27, 2010, Steve Jobs took the stage at an Apple special event to give what was one of the most important keynotes in his life, and once again in the history of consumer electronics.
And we'd like to show it to you today for the first time. And we call it the iPad. So, let me show it to you now. This is what it looks like. I happen to have one right here. That's what it looks like. Very thin. It's just like this.
The iPad was released on April 3rd in the US, and by the end of summer it was available all around the world. The base model's price of $499 was lower than pre-release estimates by Wall Street analysts and Apple's competitors. On the first day of availability, 300,000 iPads were sold, and after a month from its release, the number of iPads sold by Apple was 1 million. In total, 15 million first-generation iPads were sold prior to the launch of the iPad 2, more than all other tablet PCs combined since the iPad's release, and reaching 75% of tablet PC sales at the end of 2010. The iPad, even more than the iPhone, caught competitors flat-footed. Samsung, for their part, forced Android Gingerbread onto a tablet, introducing the original Galaxy Tab-running, stretched-out smartphone software. Other competitors were also incapable of competing because of poor software and design. Apple's first tablet featured the Apple A4 system-on-chip with an 800 MHz Cortex CPU, PowerVR GPU, and 256 MB of RAM. It came in 16, 32, and 64 GB variants. It had a bright, even by today's standards, 9.7-inch screen with 1024 by 768 resolution, coming at 132 ppi and a huge battery that lasted for 10 hours of on-screen time. As far as ports go, it had the legacy 30-pin dock connector and a headphone jack, but the biggest drawback was the lack of any camera at all. There were two variants, Wi-Fi only and Wi-Fi plus 3G. It also featured Bluetooth 2.1 and GPS. Solid build quality is present in all aspects of the device. The enclosure was made entirely of aluminum. The 3G version weighs 730 grams. The device shipped with iPhone OS 3.2. In 2011, it received an iOS 4.2 update. The last iOS version that it supported was iOS 5.1.1, released in 2012. The support of the iPad was short-lived. The device was discontinued in March 2011 after less than a year, with 15 million units sold. By that time, there were 65,000 iPad-optimized apps in the App Store. The area where the iPad shines the most is productivity. Today, iPads are used for things like drawing, note-taking, photo editing, word processing, and presenting. Probably the strongest side of iOS compared to Android is iWork. iWork includes a word processing, spreadsheet, and presentation apps. We shouldn't forget that iPads are also used a lot for a wide variety of simple daily tasks, like web browsing, online shopping, and email. The result is obvious. iPads have replaced the netbooks. It must be also noted that some of the most downloaded apps on the App Store are games. Mobile gaming has gained popularity not only among PC gamers, but regular people as well. I mean, everybody loves to play Plants vs. Zombies. Since Apple launched the iPad in 2010, millions of them have made their way into education. Students, educators, and institutions are using iPads to inspire creativity and hands-on learning. Using iPads shows about a 55% increase in math and science test scores and more than 20% increase in student assessment scores in biology classroom using iPad. Another area where the iPad has changed is media consumption. These days, a huge number of users prefer to watch Netflix and YouTube content on an iPad. They just love to watch their favorite TV shows and videos on a device with a big enough screen that fits in their hands. Nowadays, the idea of the iPad tablet is developed a lot. Current iPads are tens of times faster and have the same extraordinary battery life. Screens are brighter than ever and have higher retina resolutions. The evolution of technology led to the birth of the Apple Pencil, a tool used by many artists around the world. A new form factor was created, form factor which changed the market. The convenience offered by its size made it so popular. The iPad pushed the limits of mobile devices. Today, the tablet market is flooded with products. You can get a tablet for as cheap as $50, but according to market research for the last quarter of 2016, Apple's iPad is still the most popular tablet with 20.6% of the whole market share, followed by Samsung with 12.8%. These numbers show that people still prefer the iPad over other brands. The secret of success is the simple and easy to use interface, premium build quality, high-end hardware, and quite a reasonable price. So, did the iPad change the world? Yes. Thanks to it, a lot of things are easier and quicker to do. The iPad altered so many aspects of our lives. It changed the way we interact with the world and made our lives more convenient. It pushed the limits of mobile technology to the edge and continues to be a source of new concepts and ideas. Now, the world thinks different because of the iPad, a device Steve Jobs reportedly said was the most important product of his life. A life filled with transformative products that change the way we use computers today.